Sewer Commission meeting, Tuesday, April 7th, 2015, 7 p.m. Call to order. In attendance, Commissioner Higgins, Johnson, Superintendent DPW, Randy Sylvester, Supervisor Steve Dempsey, and Administrative Secretary Liz Welch. And we have with us tonight Steve Peterson with Weston Sampson. First article on the is the minutes of the prior meeting. Did you look at them?
Yeah, I did. I went through them today. I pulled them off the computer. They look good to me.
What are we doing anything with that 81 North Street, Jerry Travis?
Not right now. Okay. Ken and I have independently looked at the situation, and we'll defer till next month or so to give you an update. All right?
Yeah, we looked at that back in 2013, and they came up, you people came up with a figure on us. I think it was around $180,000 to do the repair on North Street, the main. Yeah. Yeah.
I think there's a little more due diligence that we wanted to do before.
Yeah, yeah. We have to talk to Randy and Steve and go through a number of things, and then possibly get with Weston and Sampson.
Yeah, because the street is not under moratorium now.
Well, you're right, it is, but we...
It's not under moratorium.
Oh, it is not under moratorium?
No, my understanding. Is that right, Randy?
It's up this year, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it won't happen this year, I can tell you that right now.
You want to make a motion on the minutes?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Of March 24th, 2015.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
All right, the
that's done.
first article on the agenda is Zona Salon, 29 Main Street.
Okay.
I don't know what the story is on that. Do you know anything about that?
Hi.
Hi, I'm not doing a salon now.
Oh, you're not?
No.
Okay.
Do you want me to give you a little background on it before she talks?
Yeah.
So she's opening a salon at 29 Main Street with 19 chairs. Based on the DEP gallons per day table, it's 100 gallons per day per chair. So their total bill owed to the Sewer Commission would be $20,292. She didn't have all of it at the time and wanted to see if she could go on a payment plan. She did give us $6,408 for 6 chairs because she has 6 stylists starting with her. So she gave us that down payment, and what she wanted to do was go on a payment plan to pay the remaining balance, which is $13,884.
We've done it with residential, but we ever done it with commercial before?
We have not, but I did get a request for installment plan application from Jean Montgomery, which is in your packet.
Yeah.
Is what she'd have to fill out in order to say, to say what she was going to pay a month, what we agreed on, and that she'd have to sign, and would be obligated to pay that amount. But it's up to the commission's vote.
Yeah, we're setting a precedent in a sense that we haven't done it before, I think, We could use the money, too.
Yeah.
I just really have questions overall about the bill, because I have 4 sinks, and the 19 chairs are not all, I would never have 19 stylists. And I spoke with the Prairie, and they said that I don't even have the capacity for anything close to this. It's based on 19 chairs that have 19 shampoo bowls, and I don't have that. I have 3 shampoo bowls. 3.
Right, it's a DEP regulation, though. It's on the way it's done, it's on per chair. You could feasibly have 19 people.
I don't know any other salon that's ever had a bill like this. I have had I used to be a consultant, and I had over 300 accounts, and they said they never heard anything like this.
Did they have 19 chairs?
you don't use all 19 chairs. If you have 8 stylists, you need 8 companion chairs. So for the clients to sit and wait. And then the other chairs are for makeup. It's like a makeup section. So it's not, I would never have 19 clients sitting in the salon. It just would, I would love that, but I don't have the setup for that.
So how many actual sinks, shampooing stations, sinks do you have?
I have 4, and 3 of them are working right now.
Okay.
I have 4.
And what is your intention as far as the total number of sinks that you're going to be using with your shampoo stations, cutting, whatever?
In
What's your,
other salons?
no, in this salon at 29
Yeah.
Main Street?
4 sinks would be fine. That would be more than enough.
So you do not plan to expand beyond the 4?
You wouldn't need, it would be over, you wouldn't need it. So, I mean, historically, other salons with even 20 chairs or 30 chairs, you wouldn't need more than 4 sinks.
Okay, so you originally told us, though, you were going to go with 19, right?
I have 19 because about 5 of them are for, like, if you're going to get a manicure, pedicure, and a makeup application, it's sort of like a little extra add-on.
Is that a sink? Is there a sink there at that
There's
station?
no sinks at any
Okay.
of the stations.
Just the styling
A chair
sinks
and
and
mirrors. Yeah.
shampoo?
Yeah. It's like an extra thing.
Can you put that in writing for us?
Yes.
Okay.
And I can also give you the history of my water use because I've had 18 stations. I'm working on getting that from Aquarian, like the amount of gallons over a period. I can get all of that for you.
No, that's okay. No, we're just interested in your, in your real number of sinks,
Yeah.
okay? When I heard the 19, I thought that was a lot, but that's the number that you gave us, I guess.
Yeah.
So, what is can you give us in writing the actual number of sinks that you're going to be using?
Mhm.
Okay? And that you're not going to exceed that?
Yes.
Okay.
What we're going to have to do is look up the DEP's regulations and see
Yeah,
how
we're
they
gonna-
word it.
It's not
Yeah.
per sink, it's per chair.
Per chair, is that how it's worded? So,
So for Zona Salon, did they pay $6,000
Does
when
it,
they opened?
on South Street?
Uh-huh.
I would have to look into that.
What about
How long
ProCut?
ago did they open, do you know, offhand?
5 years. I was.
Was it a
with
salon prior to that?
I was the co-owner of that Andrews on the Studio. I was president of the Business Association here, and my sons have grown up in Hingham, and I've been very active in the community. And I would never have. I've never heard of anything like this. And Steve can tell you could have blown me over with a feather. But first, I do about $15,000 a week in business, so this to me, and about half of that goes out for payroll. I wouldn't have come back and done this.
What are we doing with ProCut over in the shipyard, do you know? How many chairs do they,
I don't know.
they've got quite a few, if I remember.
we should revisit that
Yeah.
regulation. If it says chairs, then we're going to have to revisit that.
I think the theory behind it is, you have X amount of chairs and they filter through the sinks.
Right.
That's how we kind of understood it.
But they don't. I mean, if you want the history of my water usage, I can give you that.
It-
down.
Table until next meeting.
Depends on how the
Yeah, we
DEP,
we need to take a different,
I think I
I'll
met-
take station
equates it.
call then,
I think we
because-
should look at that a little
And I'll
differently.
just put, they're really mirrors with chairs because when you do a client's makeup, they have to sit in a chair and they look in a mirror.
yeah,
I know.
Perhaps if you had a designated waiting area instead of all the chairs that are
Yeah.
fixed,
I will do that.
maybe,
I will, whatever it takes, I will take out.
I'd accept the
because-
motion that we table
We're
until
going to
next meeting.
table this until, get us, send the information over to the sewer department at DPW, either Randy or Steve or Liz, Okay, get that information over. Do you have a plan of the interior works?
I do.
Yes.
Yeah, can you provide
Give us
that
a
to us
copy.
also, or a copy of it, or?
I have it, but you know what I'm gonna do is, I will write, I know I'll go on your men, and you don't get your hair colored, or you don't get your makeup done.
Well, I don't know, I'll get a little touch of gray up
Getting a little
here.
up there.
But I will write what the use of the chairs are, just as simply as possible, because I do have a plan for this. And you know what, after this bill, I actually started looking at how can I take some of my regular I got office furniture from my reception area, maybe get some more of that and just take out the stations and not have the stations, just have, like one of you said, like more of a waiting area.
So, and what I would like you to include is just make sure that you include how you're gonna use those other stations with no
Yeah.
sinks,
Yeah,
and that those stations do not need
water.
to utilize water or anything, okay?
Thank you.
All right, so,
You want to make a motion?
I'm gonna make a motion that we meet next month, okay? I'm gonna make a motion that we table this until next month. I think we should talk about this and go through the DEP regulations. It sounds as if, I know it says chairs, and I assume the chairs probably mean with sinks and what have you, but it just says chairs. Okay, we'll probably get a little more clarification on that,
Okay.
okay?
Thank you,
So-
I really appreciate that.
Well, that's the only thing we could do for you. You know, if that's what it is, then that would have to, of course, stand,
Yeah,
okay? But let's take a second look at it,
okay.
okay?
Then just in, and just in terms of the application from the treasurer.
That's the other thing
collector.
we need to not talk about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and maybe there, we'll see what that, but it talks about the ability to, if a payment plan is defaulted upon, then a tax lien would be recorded on the property, so I don't know if that means that the property owner somehow needs to be the applicant, or, if it comes down to that at that point.
Well, you lease the building, is that correct?
I lease,
Or do you own it?
You want it?
oh, I know, I don't know.
Lease it.
Okay, you lease it, okay.
I,
It would come back on earth and everything.
right, I mean,
Property owner?
It would come back to the property owner if it defaulted,
Is that right?
at
Yeah.
least according to this. So just a
Yeah.
question to
We'll
raise.
look at it.
That's another question, okay.
Tom?
Yeah, it's a bigger issue. I think the problem is you have to have objective standards. And it's just like, for example, with residential homes, they say 110 gallons per bedroom. You may or may not use 110. And the problem is you have to have an objective standard because it becomes a monitoring enforcement issue. How do you really, monitor enforcement? And I think Steve's idea of saying, you can't, logically, you can't sit there and say, well, I'm not going to use this chair for this because there's the potential for that chair to be used for that, okay? And that's the issue. And so, because otherwise, how do you monitor it? How do you enforce it? So it would seem that, if the DEP regulation is saying per chair, then if in fact certain people aren't, I guess the assertion is that certain people are going to receive services that don't encumber the water resources, the sewer. So therefore, those chairs shouldn't count. Well, it would seem that, again, there has to be some way of disqualifying those chairs and taking them out of the picture, rather than just simply saying, we won't use it for this, that those chairs can't exist at all, because I think DEP regulations talk about potential, and they just have an objective standard. It's a slippery slope once you go down. I mean, I hear what she's saying,
Yeah.
but it's a slippery slope that once you go down, and that's why the standards are there, everybody just gets treated. Some people, it works out better for, some people it works out worse for, but you have to have an objective standard because you just can't be in there on a daily basis monitoring whether or not, all 19 chairs are actually being used for something that puts a demand on the sewer system versus something that doesn't put a demand on the sewer system. So it's tough. I understand from a business person's point of view, but that's why you have these objective standards.
Can I?
Yeah.
I would recommend maybe submitting my water usage bill each month from Aquarian. But I mean, anybody can add stations on it. Any salon can add stations in and increase their water use without anybody knowing.
No, they'd have to get a plumbing permit for installation, and that would trip a notification to here, I would hope, from the plumbing department that additional,
You could put a chair and a mirror up. You could put 4 more chairs and mirrors up and use the same amount of sinks.
How's the health department, how often do they look
You
it
could
up?
do that without any sort of building permit. And I've seen salons do that.
well,
We have to look at what
yeah,
Yeah.
definition of a chair is.
yeah, we have to really we got to look at that, you know.
And then we'll also look at how some of the other newer service providers
Yeah.
have been, permitted
Yeah.
as well.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
We'll look into that, and we're all, you second that? You have a motion?
Second. I'll second that, that's all. I mean, we'll adjourn on this to,
Next meeting?
next meeting, which would be on May, I'm sorry? Let me get my
I
little,
have to look at my calendar.
my first,
May-
you're quicker than I am, Liz.
Where's my, there we go. May 5th.
May 5th, okay. May 5th, okay.
Thank you. That's Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo? That's Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, that was a really good one.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I guess
Okay.
the next item is Weston and Sampson update.
Right. The main thing I wanted to update you on today was the status of the rules and regs review, which we worked on incorporating some of the comments from the previous work session that was held. So we did put together for tonight a draft set of the documents. You each should have one in front of you. I passed those out beforehand. There's a lot of information in here. I thought what I would do was kind of give you a quick run through on what's in the document, how it's set up, so that you're familiar with how it's set up right now and where the stuff that you really need to probably pay attention to or look at is. So maybe just flipping through the what you have. You can just see from the table of contents how the whole document is set up. So it's the main body of the rules and regs are set up into Division 1 and Division 2, or Section 1 and 2, and there's tabs for each of those. So Section 1 is really the basic sewer use and installation regulations, the body of the use of the sewers. Division 2 is the second tab, and that's really all the fees from betterment assessments, connection fees, and user charges are discussed in Section 2. And then there's a bunch of appendices attached at the back that kind of support the rest of the document. With Appendix A, actually we can flip through those in a second, but the way the document is put together, there's some within the text itself as you're flipping through. Obviously, you should feel free to review everything, but I have put shaded in gray some of the areas that you might want to take special attention to in terms of the wording. Some of it's directed to some people, some of it's for, more specific to Steve and Randy as far as the operations, but then there's other stuff that's more, specific to the function of the commission and what have you. A couple of things I would note as I go through the very beginning, just the definitions alone. One thing that we wanted to clarify was the different districts. So within the definitions, we've provided definitions of the 3 districts: the Hingham Sewer District, the Industrial Office Park District, and then the Ware River Sewer District, just to kind of define those, because those, your old regs were basically written just around
Okay.
what was the North Sewer District and is now directly the Hingham Sewer District.
Yeah.
That was one of the things that needed to be clarified within there. And just the gray shading, and not intended for tonight in any way to go into any
Yeah,
detail here. I
okay.
just wanted to touch on a few things. I flagged here Article 9, penalties. There's some things highlighted in that section that you might want to make sure are relevant for Hingham, the way the penalty section is written up.
Okay, there's some pump issues and stuff like that?
Yeah,
Okay.
how it's laid out here, that you
Okay.
deal with those, as far as access to people's homes to inspect and see if they have a sump pump, and the ability to assess fines if they don't let you in, or if they do have one and they don't do it and stuff like that. I would go, so on page 17, there's some articles that you might want to pay attention, a little extra attention to, starting with Article 10, sewers in new subdivisions. This is language that just came right out of a policy document that you have. So again, one of the things that we're trying to do is take all the policies and incorporate them into one all-inclusive document. So Article 10 is basically language that you have. And that's very specific to a new subdivision that's coming along and is going to put sewer, has to go before planning board, and this is specific to the sewer's role in that. Article 11, the next article on the same page, is the sewer connection approval criteria. You have a couple of different sets of criteria, one for the Ware River District and another for the North District, that were established as policies for criteria for people to connect to.
They're pretty much like we had before the criteria, has it changed?
This is based on the criteria that you had.
Okay.
We probably still need to look at, if you go from within Article 11, there's 2 sets here. There's the Hingham Sewer District and then the Ware River Sewer District. And we might be able to do a better job of melding that into one. They're slightly different. The regulations behind each of the districts is different. One of the biggest principles being in the Ware River, you're governed by capacity in your IMA with Hull, whereas in the Hingham District, it's more based on boundaries. The Hingham District is going to the MWRA, and it's defined by a boundary. So some of the language has to be different in those 2, but I think we could probably do a better job of melding those 2 together so that they're a little bit similar, a little bit more similar. But that's what we have there. Then on page 19 is Article 12, talks about private sewer extensions, and basically this will, so this would be a neighborhood group that's in the district and not sewered and wants to come on and come in and get sewered. This is the avenue where they would petition the commission to do that. And this basically just references Appendix G, where there's a private sewer extension policy that you guys should take a look at in terms of the suggested policy with regard to that and how that can be accomplished. And I think that was another one of the initiatives of the Rules and Regs Review, was kind of really memorializing that process. And then there's just some other things that are highlighted here. I did, at the very end, page 20, the last part of section 1, make sure that we reference the other regs. You are bound by the town of Hull's regulations because of your intermunicipal agreement with Hull. And then with your interconnection with MWRA, we reference the Enabling Act for MWRA and some of the regulations in there. They're incorporated here by reference, basically. So wherever anything's ambiguous, you have to be aware that you are bound by those regs also, or if there's discrepancies. So section 2, division 2, again talks about the different fees, and I would ask Steve and Liz and the commissioners to, make sure this covers everything in terms of the fees that you assess. It starts out with sewer betterment assessments and your suggested policy
What
going
page are you
forward.
on now?
So now I'm at the very beginning of Division 2, so if you, the Section 2
26.
tab,
26, okay,
page 21.
21.
21. Section 2, okay.
Yep.
I'm on now.
That's fine, that's fine. It take you a little to get used to the setup here, but hopefully the tab helps.
No, I like it, it's,
So it starts out talking about the betterments, going forward, new municipal extension projects. This is your policy for assessing betterments to the fronted properties within those projects, and that's goes through the method, the uniform unit method, and all the general criteria about time for assessment and how to designate sewer units. And again, as was discussed earlier, this references back to Title V in terms of using Title V to determine flows for some of the commercial properties as far as the number of units to be assessed. The equivalent unit method basically takes a single-family home and equates everything to that. That's one unit. One single-family home is one unit, and then anything that's not a single-family home has to be equated back to that. A two-family home is 2 units. Commercial property, you look at either the Title V flow or their water use records and figure out how many units it is. And there's formulas within here as to how
that's
all
great.
that is established. So that's the first few pages here and sections. Page 25 is the first reference to sewer privilege fees. The only thing in conjunction with betterments, there will always be some areas or properties that for whatever reason you can't assess a betterment to, and you have to call it a privilege fee. So this gives you the language as far as, again, through the assessment process, the betterment process, you can also assess privilege fees, which is basically the same thing, and this just sets it up that, the fee would be the same, payment, ability to apportion over time, all of that would be the same for a privilege fee.
treatment, okay.
And then the next page, section 6, is the sewer connection fees. This is broken up into the 2 districts again, because you have different criteria driving the sewer connections in both of those districts. But this is right from what the DPW has been working off of in terms of assessing sewer connection fees. This could probably use a little more language for all situations.
Right.
Maybe even specifically the one that you would
Well, I was
deal with
thinking,
tonight.
yeah.
Because this is very specific to residential, the way it's written. And I know, just like with the betterments,
Right.
it's being equated, you're taking kind of the uniform unit method, and whatever a 1-bedroom is, and a bedroom is 110 gallons per day, so I assume
So like
her
the chair
100
was
gallons per
100 gallons.
chair is a little less than 1 bedroom, so she's got
Perhaps you could
almost
just put those
18
DEP
bedrooms.
regs right in here.
Right, I have
those.
So that's,
Those
so
two.
anything that, I've tried to compile everything, so if there's other stuff that you
Okay.
have that I haven't
Yep.
gotten my hands on yet,
Yeah, I get that, too.
that would clarify it.
Okay.
We're getting close.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
I should have thought of that before.
Yep.
Do you have anything in here relative to what we were talking about tonight on the?
So this is the section where that would go, and I don't, it's not
It's not,
real specific to that, but Liz has, the information that you guys are working on. But again, it's very similar to the betterment structure. So what you get into connection fees, these are properties that didn't pay a betterment, and you can't assess them a betterment because it wasn't, a project that was voted to be assessed through betterment. It's someone coming in after the fact, connecting to a sewer that already exists, or extending a sewer into an area that didn't have sewer before. So it's assessed as a connection fee. It's just different terminology and different regulations, but the setup is basically the same. And then there's also, within the fees, the user charges are discussed here. So those are the 2 main sections, and then we get into the appendices. Appendix X is all your standard applications and permits. I just listed them here. Just the first page after the tab that says Appendix X should list all the forms that are contained within here. And again, I would ask Liz and Steve to make sure this is all the forms. These are the ones that you've given me, so I think we've
Appendix A.
got them all and make sure they're up to date. Connection application, sewer account.
X.
No.
Is that Appendix A?
Appendix A.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Okay. So all of the forms that are currently being used, and these have been updated fairly recently because they all reflect, a lot of them had the 210 Central Street address before and have been updated with the Beresford address. So I would say just take a look at those, make sure we have all the forms there that you use, and if there's any that can be modified, we can turn it.
Is there anything for commercial there? On that?
Yes, this would be anybody that's connect, yeah.
Anybody?
Yeah, anyone that wants to connect, yeah. Yep, it's commercial, industrial, residential, whatever it is. And I think that also talks about the drain layers licensing process and stuff like that is in there. Appendix B is probably mostly for the operations, Steve and the guys in the field and actual sewer service connection specs. So it gives some general, fairly specific at times, specifications for the drain layers when they're actually out there doing installations. And so, Steve, you've looked through this once. Some of the stuff that you see shaded is stuff that you would ask me to incorporate. So we've added, some of it I've added, but some of it is stuff that you had requested. So take another look through that. But hopefully this gives you something good. It gives you a checklist, an inspection checklist, and some real guidelines for the contractors.
Is there an as-built in there?
Hooray, number 17, as-built drawings prepared within 10 days of installation. Very good, Randy. Stephen. That's a good one.
It's there.
Good, good.
And it's last because it was added recently. Actually, it's last because it's the last thing they do. It's the last thing you check off.
Maybe we're going to change that.
Now, will the,
Fire to CO, something like that.
do we have a requirement that, for application for connection, that the construction documents be prepared by a professional engineer?
That's not a requirement at this time, but we can kick that around if you'd like to.
Yeah.
I was curious
So,
about that.
these are more, these are pretty specific to the individual, there's a sewer in front of the street and the homeowner's ready to connect. So they go, so as far as engineering, you just
Not
need to
much
know.
engineering, yeah.
There's not a lot to it.
There was a time when we were getting as-built on the back of a pizza box. We've come up from then.
Okay.
But we're not requiring a private, professional engineer at this point.
But on a subdivision or when a pipeline is installed, the contractor or the engineer who's charged with that, do they provide back to you that as-built plan?
Do they?
Are they required to do that under the contract of?
Well, with somebody like Taylor Lane, for instance, yeah, we wouldn't sign off on any of the COs before that. We're working with the developers at Baker Hill to get that as-built for the main roadway now, and we have gotten a lot of those.
Yeah.
But when a private or a private contractor hooks up and hooks into that system, we get an as-built for the actual connection from them. And so that's where I'm saying we haven't required a professional engineering as-built. On the big projects?
We do?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
Do we have that in writing? I don't think we do.
Might be a good
But
idea.
in the contract for installation, okay, there's usually a line there, engineering, and if the engineering portion that responsible for that total as-built back to the DPW sewer, is that part of the contract? If we wanted to put a new pipeline in Main Street, they would have an engineer oversee that and do all the ties and do all the as-built, right?
Yeah, the only thing I could equate that to now would be like the light plant. And we're working with the light plant engineers to get all those as-built
Yeah.
and look them over. And does that answer your question?
Yeah, we just want to make sure that you're provided with everything you need to get your job.
Let's look through this.
Let's look through this
And
and-
we'll see if we need to add something to that,
Sure.
to that regard.
Okay, so that's Appendix B. At the end of Appendix B also is some standard details, construction details that can be used. So Appendix C is the policy for on-lot individual grinder pump unit installations. This can-
We've standardized on one pump, is that correct?
Yes.
More or less?
Yeah, more or less.
Okay, all right.
Appendix D, we've just attached, we referenced it in here and then attached the fog program.
Program,
Okay,
in the town of Hingham. So this is something that you guys have already established.
yeah.
the program,
We
right?
talk about fog in the regs here, but then
Yeah.
we reference this. Appendix E just takes, so in here are the Title V flows. So, you know, if you look at Appendix E and go to the, not the cover page, but the second page in at the bottom, 3, commercial, barber shop, beauty salon.
There it
So the
is,
pages
yeah.
aren't numbered, but on the...
Per chair, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there is.
Says per chair, yeah.
It says per chair?
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
right there.
okay.
But those are the Title V regs. And then Appendix F is strictly existing rules and specifications for street excavations. Again, if they're doing a connection or extension, just be aware of those. So Appendix G you should look at, this is the private sewer extension policy that I talked about before. It basically establishes a policy if an individual or a group of neighbors come in and want to, you know, are in the sewer area and want to extend sewer. Establishes the process. And then the last appendix we've just added is a placeholder for updates as they occur. After you go through the process, get these formally voted and adopted, mechanism. As new policies are established, then we go at the end. They'll be appended at the end of the vote.
You get two-thirds of the owners here.
What's that?
If two-thirds of the owners are not, you go back to the A section, right? Option A.
Yeah, option A.
That's the way it's written.
Did you get a lot of this from other information that was given to you on a boilerplate from other towns or not?
Well, it's a combination of things. I mean, I started with your old regulations and the policies that you guys
Susan
use.
Murphy worked with you on this, or?
I have the stuff that she did
Yeah.
back when she was working with you guys, and,
Yeah,
and
good.
use some of that. But then we have experience with some other communities that have encountered similar problems or
Yeah,
similar issues.
I gave her Braintree's regulations.
Yep, yeah, I've seen brain trees. Yeah, I mean, every community is different. You'd like it there to be this one, you know, just go into the CMRs and pull out a sewer regs document. They
Yeah.
have the basics, but then every community has different issues that are in the forefront in those communities. So, so hopefully this is something that we can advance and talk about. You know, at this point, I guess we wanted to provide you guys each with a draft.
That's great.
Give you an opportunity,
To look at it.
provide some feedback on it, look through it. What we'd like to do is before just come to the May meeting, what we consider the final document
Okay,
and a final draft that would then put forward to go through whatever other reviews are required, and then the public hearing, public meeting process to get them actually approved.
actually, the third thing here on one of the pages we have to seek council review and comment on revised regulations. You've already adopted or selected the recommendations that council had already made to you. Is that just about,
I have some of
Yeah.
the stuff that she did before.
Yeah, okay.
That I've incorporated in here, but
okay.
they will need to, I would
Yeah.
suggest that they're still going to want.
Oh, yeah, okay. No, I just wanted to make sure we did, you know. Because then we got to go on a PR campaign so that everyone sees
Yeah,
the...
the board- you wanna get it out to the
Yeah,
board,
sure,
make it
socialize it.
available.
We have to have a public meeting on this?
Oh, yeah, public meetings, we're going to have to put it on the web, we're going to have to socialize it with other departments and stuff, so.
Okay.
Okay, good, thank you.
What did this cost us, this draft?
Our fees?
Yeah.
Our fees were 14,000.
It was in the budget anyway, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm
That's
glad we
very
were
good.
able to
Thank
get
you. Very
together
good.
finally on this.
Looks good, Pete.
Okay,
Steve.
thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Randy.
So, before we leave this subject, do you want to go through these and provide your comments to Liz and I, and we can get them to Steve
What, yeah, that's it.
individually?
Yeah.
Sure. Yep,
And then if
And then
there's
we'll
any
we
changes
can
or
discuss
whatnot,
those.
then we can discuss it at the next meeting.
next meeting.
That sound good?
So when do you figure you're going to have a public meeting?
Well, let's get through the next meeting and
Definitely.
find out, because we have to get it to council first, and I don't know how long that's going to take, but our own comments and concerns and letters and stuff will have to be forwarded also to Steve so they can reincorporate that in, and then we'll get it off to council.
Who looks at it? What council is this?
Well, Susan is a
Okay.
assigned counsel, so we'll have to get that done. And then we'll work out a schedule of dates where we can have meetings to socialize it, get it on the website, okay? And then the final, probably looks like June, maybe the final vote on the commission would be in June sometime? Maybe the June meeting?
May or June, yeah.
Yeah, May, June.
June.
You know,
I'd
if
say
we can quickly get through I don't know what council's schedule is, but, you know, so, what do you think, Ken?
Yes, so we'll, over the next couple of weeks, review this,
Yeah.
provide any comments in
Yeah,
Liz, synthesize those
Yeah.
between all of us.
yeah.
And then we think between now and then we'll be able to get Sue Murphy's comments? Or do you want to get one more round of
I
a
think
draft?
the next meeting, the goals, I think, would be for the May 5th meeting to have this, what you guys consider the final
Yeah.
document,
Final
that then we
Yeah,
can get
okay.
reviewed.
Okay.
Reviewed by council.
Start the
and
process.
then the
Council and
process.
let the other boards, you know, the Board of Health, Planning Board,
Yeah.
Selectmen, whoever else.
Yeah.
Others.
And then also out.
Public comment.
Yeah.
So, and then once we
We have to have
sort of map that out.
Selectmen and the other boards too, right?
Well, we'll have to socialize it, and if they have comment or concerns, we'll have to accept those, and we'll have to value judge amongst us at a meeting whether or not they're applicable, or whether we should put them in there or not, or if there are other articles that already cover some of that. So I think just flushing out anything that's no redundancy, I don't think we need to go through any of that, but you may see some of that in some of the comments and stuff. So once we get that and everybody's happy, then we can send it
Move
off to
forward,
council.
right?
Yeah, we go, send it to council, and when it comes back, we'll make up a schedule of meetings, public meetings, and then anyone who wishes to hear from us, we'll have to accommodate them. You know, we'll put it on the website, and then those comments that come in, we'll have to assess those, okay? And if everything's okay, maybe in May or June, we might be
June,
able
probably in
to,
June, I'd say.
you know?
At least the earliest would be June, right?
June, yeah.
That's what it
Next time
sounds
we-
like.
Yeah, we're,
Yeah, but if we can get it done by then, Randy, love to get it done. Like to get it off the desk.
Absolutely.
That and a few other things.
Mhm.
All right, that's great. Gentleman in the back there.
Just have a quick question directed to the engineer. So if I understand what you're saying correctly, you in part base this draft on the current set of regulations that are in effect by the sewer commission. Is that correct? Okay, so I would just
Well,
ask
yeah.
for the record that you keep hold of those because I may need to access those in the future. So,
Well, I mean, these are being submitted as amended and restated. So the old regs have been looked at, but these are replacing the old regs.
Right, but in order to do, in order to look at the old regs, you actually physically have to have them to look at, right? You've been provided them. So I'm just saying, I would just ask that you hold on to what you've been provided, because I may need to access those in the future. So, thanks.
Good job, thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Thanks.
Supervisor's report is the next article on the agenda.
As part of the infiltration and inflow study, Weston and Sampson Engineering installed a SCADA system known as mission controls, in 8 stations throughout the system. System will gather operational data from the stations, which includes, but it's not limited to, pump run times, flow rates, gallons pumped, and rainfall. The mission control SCADA system was installed in Mill Street, Greenbush, Town Brook, Broad Cove, Walton Cove, Bel Air, Bradley Woods, and the Wampatuck State Park Station. In addition to the SCADA, Doppler flow meters were installed at the Town Brook, Broad Cove, and Walton Cove stations. All the other stations that are participating in the study have had their flow rates calibrated volumetrically. They did a drawdown test in the wet wells.
What about Wampatuck State Park? How do we,
What's the question?
do we have a meter for that, or?
They calibrated it volumetrically, and we know what's coming out of there. Yeah.
We don't have a flow meter there, though, I
We
think.
do not, but they measured the wet well, timed the pump cycles, saw what the drawdown was, and they calibrated how many gallons are being pumped. It's quite accurate.
They have
You
the
don't think you should have
runtime.
a
Yeah,
flow
runtime.
meter there, then?
Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Further, Flow Assessment, Inc. has installed gravity flow meters in the following manholes. Manhole 9, Lincoln Street on the sidewalk of Stop and Shop Plaza. Manhole 54, Central Street near Bradford. That will take Wampatuck State Park, along with the high school and the town hall. So if we compare what we've got coming out, what our volumetric measurement is coming out of the state park, and what we physically see in the flow meters, and we compare, with our data that we have on the town hall and the fire station, we can come up with a quite accurate number of what's coming out.
The only reason I was asking is we had a lot of I there before, coming out of.
We have a lot of I&I there now.
Yeah.
Manhole 341, which is Downer Avenue between Crow Point Lane and Foster School. Manhole 843, Bear Cove Park easement behind Beals Cove pump station. So we'll get what's coming out of Hingham Woods and Beals Cove and those areas. This will provide a clearer picture of where the inflow and infiltration problems exist moving forward. And I'll give you an example of how we can benefit by using the SCADA system. On 2 occasions in March, several stations were affected by the rain and the snow melt and went into a high-level condition. After being notified by the alarm company, I was able to log on to Mission Control website at home and monitor the affected stations. I could see the pumps were on and the amount of gallons being pumped. This saved, the ability to do this saved an overtime call. Didn't need to call anybody in, we could see it right there.
And there were no other issues at the station, so you were all set?
Yeah.
Great.
Moving
That's a good
forward-
system.
Moving forward, as the system gets fine-tuned,
Yeah.
I'll have even more station data such as wet well levels, alarms, and other critical information at my
alarm,
disposal. Right there, we can put those alarms right over there. Any questions on that?
But I do have a question related to that. Are we able to get into the shipyard meters yet to read those over there?
I haven't gotten in there with Scott Barisol yet.
Okay.
But we did install a meter at Manhole 9, which is Lincoln Street on the sidewalk at the Stop and Shop Plaza. So we'll be able to get data from the shipyard using that. I'll get a hold of Scott Barisol and we'll work with him and get that information.
I thought they had a closed area there where they had a meter in that we were supposed to have access to at one time.
Again, that project started before I came in, so I will get up to speed on that.
Okay,
Okay.
good.
Okay, so
Perfect.
moving forward, on March 20th, Podgorski Corp. cleaned fat soils and grease from the wet wells at Mill Street, Lewis Court, Weir River, Greenbush, and Bradley Woods Station. This was the first round of wet well cleaning for 2015. The need for wet well cleanings has decreased dramatically since the implementation of the fog regulation, along with the introduction of microbes into the system. In 2012, the wet wells required nearly monthly cleanings at the aforementioned stations, compared to 3 times in 2014. So we went from about 12 to 3,
Nice.
you know, maybe it was 10, but,
So that the microbes are working, right?
yeah, it's, you know, it was a tough winter, and nothing works quite as well in the cold, but we're still ahead of the
Yeah.
game, you know. If there's any questions on that, then now would be the time.
Good job. Way to go, guys.
Weston and Sampson Engineering are 90% complete with the plans for the replacement of Bayberry Lift Station. Upon final review, the project is forecasted to be put out to bid as early as next week or so, Steve, maybe a couple of weeks?
A couple of weeks, we should be
Yeah.
ready to go.
And I think Steve has a draft plan for us that we'll have to review and go over.
So that's going to go out to bid?
Yep, yeah, we're
When?
just about ready to go out to bid in a couple of weeks. We'll advertise, so
Mhm.
we'll probably be putting a bid schedule together next week, once we, so I've got plans and specs here, a couple things I wanted to go over with you, Steve, and I can leave this stuff with you if you want, or
Sure.
go over a couple of things, but once we have that resolved, we're doing our internal technical review right now, so I'm just waiting to hear back from the guys. We have a process in-house where someone independent of the guys that have been working on it takes a look at it from a quality control standpoint and bidding, making sure the biddability and all that. So once we have that done and we get any feedback from the sewer division, we'll get it up.
So what do you figure, a couple of weeks or something?
I do figure a couple of weeks, yeah.
Steve, could you PDF those to us?
I could, yeah. Yeah, I can do that.
At least the drawings?
Yep, yeah, no, the drawings are easy to do. See about that. I can do the specs too, if you want, or I can leave this hard copy with you guys either way, or both.
Okay, okay. Maybe you guys have seen me playing out on the road these past couple of weeks. National Water Main Cleaning Company is in the midst of performing the FY16 cleaning and inspections of sewers in search of the I&I. The areas being inspected are Ocean View and Highview Drives, North Street from Beale Street to Central, Lincoln Street Residential, Otis Street, and the Bradley Park area. If you have any questions on that.
How's it going? I know you just started it, but
Well, no, we've gotten a big chunk out of it. I'll tell you, the North Street line from Thaxter down to Central is going to need a little bit of work. That's an 18-inch AC pipe with a lot of flow coming into the, especially I'm noticing the service connections. So do a little bit more investigation on that.
is Baker Hill part of that system?
Baker Hill, right now, is being, Podgorski Corporation is up there cameraing all the TV, doing all the TV work for Tom Cochran and Tom Duggan, as part of what we're requiring before we even consider taking that street over, and
Yeah,
planning
okay.
board's involved with that, and one of the conditions I had was at least to get that TV'd so we could review it and see exactly what's going on there.
Good.
Is that the oversight we'll have on the TV on it, or anything else? Do you look at that, or?
I'm going to look at that. I'm going to send some of that to Weston and Sampson. Tom Duggan and Tom Cochran have already agreed to all that. We've got it in writing, so
Okay, good.
once we get it back from, I'll talk with Pat Cotton, and we'll figure out what needs to be done, and we'll send off a letter.
Yeah.
That flow does not go to North Street, if that was your original question.
That was my original
Oh, the
question.
original question. It goes down Fotler Road, and it finds its way down to Broad Cove.
Okay, so there's no, only because I don't remember, on North Street, there used to be what's that street that goes in near the dead ends? Help me out here.
It's a private way.
It's a private hill, no, it's not, no,
Well,
it's off
LA.
of North Street there.
That's off
Oh,
of Beale
Burton's
Street.
Lane?
Burton's Lane,
Burton's
but remember the big cement drain pipes they used to have there on the ground waiting for, were those ever installed? I mean, those are huge, those were like
I don't know.
36 inches.
Town Brook, that goes in the Town Brook, is that what you're talking about?
Is that where it goes?
Yeah.
Okay.
But to answer your question, some of it goes through Thaxter Street,
okay.
goes out Thaxter, goes down to
Thaxter,
Broad Cove,
and then
some goes
North
down
Street.
Fowler, I misspoke, goes to the Bradley Woods pumping station.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Didn't
Thank
they
you.
go through the Chinese restaurant, that area, at one time?
I did last summer.
No, I mean, as far as Baker Hill, didn't they come through the, had to get a right-of-way there or something at one time, I thought?
That's why we've got the TV trucks out there, we don't know what's in the ground.
Yeah.
We got to figure it all
Pretty sure
out.
that's where they had to come through, with a Chinese restaurant.
I don't think that was Baker's Hill.
Thought it was.
Talbot's maybe,
Talbot's
Talbot's maybe,
might be, but I don't think
Yeah.
it's Baker's Hill.
yeah,
It's like an old spur track there or something.
Yeah.
They took
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
right away.
yeah. Okay, thank
Okay,
you very much.
D'Alessandro Corp. will be in town starting tomorrow to work in 3 specific areas. First, there'll be a force main repair in the vicinity of 148 Downer Avenue, and that's to mitigate a partial blockage caused by tuberculation within the ductile iron pipe that's been there for quite a while.
Okay,
Once the blockage is removed, the sewer department will inspect further into the interior of the force main with a push camera. We'll verify the condition of that. If we need to do something else, we'll do something else. A manhole is going to be installed at the beginning of the gravity main in the cul-de-sac on Bayberry Circle. The function of the manhole is to gain access at the end of the main so the town-owned portions of the service connections can be lined to mitigate the heavy I&I that's been observed. There's water pouring
water
in there.
pouring in there, bad service connections.
Pouring in there,
Yeah.
yeah. And finally, a service connection is going to be reinstated on a line section of the 6-inch gravity main on Man Street down in Crow Point. And that's what they'll be doing. They should be done by Friday, if all goes well.
Okay. Very good.
Was that the force main? Remember, Bob, the camera work? We had seen one camera work where you could just get
No,
started
that's
in. Was that in,
No,
was
that's on
Mill
Mill
Street.
Street. That's Mill Street, yeah.
is that on the list of future repairs, or is that in an area that's in the moratorium?
That's going to be a tough one to do.
Is it?
Yeah.
We're still kicking that one around.
We should look into pipe bursting, where they physically burst the pipe, okay, and then they pull a HDPE liner right along with it, a pipe. I don't know if Steve's familiar with that or not, but I think where the 6-inch pipeline, it's cast iron, goes into Mill Street, the manhole there's a jog there, and then there's a bend and a bend. And so I have the pictures. I actually made a picture of that heavily tuberculated area in that 6-inch pipe, okay? And it goes from 6-inch, it goes down to a couple of donuts like this. And, but we cannot, until we can get rid of that, we can't take any more pictures going up that line. Is that correct?
That's right. We
So-
first got that in 2012, is when I saw
Yeah.
that for the first time.
Okay, because when we looked at other issues down there, that popped up, that might be a low-flow issue in another area. One of the reasons you're getting that, when you look at that North Street from Mill Street all the way down, that 8-inch pipe there, that you're only using less than a third of that, and in some instances, the flow in there is just barely sneaking along the bottom. That's something we'll talk about for next year, but,
I toyed with a couple of ideas on how to clean that tuberculation out. It's just, we got to shut the station down and get pump trucks in there to bypass pump, and nothing's ever quite as simple as you think it
oh,
might
never,
be.
no.
You know?
But I mean, if it's just there, there's no way to tell until you get that out of there and try to get the camera in.
It's true.
Otherwise, you're gonna have to,
There's going to have to be a whole process.
yeah, we will talk
If there's
about
any main
that.
replacement there, then we're going to have to figure out a way of
Yeah.
pumping Mill Street into the system again, so
Yeah.
that's,
And there's a sharp bend up at Mill Street at North, and you're gonna wanna put a doghouse manhole, and it gets into a
So, yeah,
pretty hefty.
Would you confer with Steve on that, possibly?
yes.
Yeah.
That's all I've got, fellas.
okay.
Anybody else?
Good
got anything?
report, thank you.
I have something.
Right, Ron.
Just to keep it up to date and whatnot, there is the consolidation agreement that I think has already gone by the 60 days, but this should be looked at and discussed with the selectmen from my point of view, so we can move on. But there is, this has to be looked at by you and discussed with the selectmen. So I know we were, either
We'll have to schedule a meeting with
Want to
them.
extend it for another 20 days?
What we should do is extend this until this matter is resolved,
Yeah.
okay? Because if we have to go to the selectmen, in a public meeting and go over the issues.
you can't vote on it tonight, but
No, but I mean,
my,
We can't,
my problem and issue is that this has been extended for over 6 months, more like 9 months now. And really, there has been no progress on it whatsoever. And I really don't want to keep telling you every 2 months that, this is still out there hanging over our heads. I would like it just to be, get an agreement together of some sort and have it done with, and then we can move on. But this is on my desk, and it sits there, and I look at it all the time, so I'd like it off my desk if,
okay, another thing off your desk, Randy.
want to make it 20 days, something?
Well,
Vote on it.
Well, look, why don't we, Randy, I have a suggestion. Extend this until we get a meeting with the selectmen, okay, and go from there. And then at that point, if we can't resolve it, then we're probably going to have, there's a paragraph in there for conflict resolution.
well,
And I think it will have to invoke that to get it done, Randy. I think that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Litigation, you're saying?
No, not litigation, no.
Litigation.
No.
I think what needs to be done, and this is from all the meetings that we've gone through this, is that if you have any objections or comments, that you have to go and discuss it either with Ted Alexiadis
Our council.
and not necessarily council, because the agreement isn't with council. But if you want to go to
It's written
council,
up
then,
by council, though, so
No.
you'd have to go to him.
okay, but let's do it so it can move forward. Because we're not moving forward on this.
I don't think we can discuss it any further without, having an open meeting, though, Because it wasn't on the agenda tonight,
No, I know it wasn't on the agenda. I'm just bringing it up. You can't vote on it, but I would just like to see progress. And my way of thinking is, if there's a hang-up somewhere and verbiage in there you don't like, then someone should be discussing it. Either it's individually or, with Ted Alexiadis
Give us.
to get an agreement so you guys can come here and then vote on it.
Oh,
I mean, that's what's been discussed in the past.
yeah,
And honestly, I thought that it might be done by now, but
me too. But
Have you reviewed a copy of?
I have,
Well, there's been several copies,
well, the copy that I currently have came from the selectman's office, and Ed is not in agreement with it, okay? So Ed, being the chairman, wants to discuss this with the selectmen. So,
We'll do that.
we should try to get this done soon, though.
All right.
We can't wait much longer.
We'll have to set up a meeting with them, and,
Yeah, only you can go,
yeah,
unless we announce a meeting,
meeting. We have it on the agenda,
My suggestion, why don't you put it to the agenda item for the next meeting? action plan, how you're gonna resolve this. And that way you can discuss it, and vote on something, just to get it done. I have to worry about open meeting law. You know?
I want to do it in public, Tom. I want everything in public.
No, that's what he's
No
saying.
smoke, no mirrors,
What I'm
public.
saying- That's why I'm saying is put it on as an agenda
An
item.
item for the May 5th.
Yeah.
You know, not just for discussion, for a vote, implement an action plan, how you're gonna resolve this. And, you know, basically an agenda, you know,
When's our next meeting?
Board of Selectmen,
May
or
6th.
like status by X date, whatever. I'm just saying.
Do you wanna,
it sounds to me that's
go-
what Randy wants.
Talk to Ted tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll talk to him tomorrow.
Ed is going to talk to Ted.
Okay,
How's that?
excellent. And we'll put it on the agenda for
Yeah.
next
May
month.
And if something comes up, we'll bring it right here,
Sure.
next meeting.
Excellent.
Good?
Thank you.
Thank you.
May 3rd is going to be on there, right?
Yeah, May
May
5th.
5th.
May 5th?
May 5th.
Yeah, May 5th.
Tuesday, yeah.
Oh, right. Right.
Cinco de Mayo.
Anybody else have any comments?
No. Make a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Second it?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night.
Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.